we ready?
We are absolutely ready. So you may start.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Robert Barnett. I'm the president of the Virginia State Conference NAACP. I'm happy to join the Right to Vote Coalition press conference this morning. Voting rights are not about right or left. They're about right or wrong, period. And there is no issue more urgent than this. After the MLK holiday, we need a victory for voting rights. Legislators need to vote on the same amendment in the Senate and in the House with the exact same language that was passed during the last General Assembly. This would ensure mail-in voting. This will ensure early voting. And during this time of COVID, early voting provides a safe option. And so I'm thrilled to join our partners in this Right to Vote coalition. Thank you so much, and join us in this fight.
Thank you so much, Robert. And now we'll have Donnie Hoffman speaking next.
Hi, my name is Donnie Hoffman. I'm 64 years old. I spent 35 of those years in Virginia's penal system. I was released in 2013. I immediately, when I got out of prison, got a job, began paying taxes, continued to work, but I was on parole. For that reason, I was ineligible to get my voting rights. So in essence, they were telling me that you may be out of prison, but you're not one of us. And I think self-esteem and a sense of belonging is an integral part of returning to society and becoming a productive citizen. I continued to work. I finally petitioned Governor Northam once I was released from parole in March of 2020. And finally, by May, I was able to get my civil rights restored, and I'm able to vote. I would encourage the General Assembly to pass this legislation and let the people decide whether people like myself should be able to vote. That's about all I've got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Donnie. And now we will have Messiah Johnson speaking next.
How's everyone doing? My name is Messiah Johnson. Like Donnie, I am also one who was wrongfully incarcerated. In 1997, I received 132 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. It was during that incarceration and striving to really have my voice heard that I understood the importance of being able to speak your voice and your mind to invoke change. And so when I received a pardon from the governor in 2018, I came home striving to get my life back together. One of those things was getting a job, becoming a tax-paying citizen. But one of the things that I couldn't do immediately was vote. This was very disheartening to me that I was becoming a part of my community, but unable to have my voice heard and invoke change more quickly. And so for me, it felt really good to be able to finally do that once I filed to the governor's office and had that restored. I voted for the first time in 2020 and finally felt like I was a part of my community as a whole. I would encourage the General Assembly to pass this bill and so that other people like myself have the opportunity to have their voices heard. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Messiah. And we'll have Jesse Crossan speaking next.
Hi, my name is Jesse Carlson. In 2002, I did commit crimes. I committed a robbery and unlawful wounding, and I was arrested and convicted. I spent the next 19 years doing what I could to try to better myself and help the people around me. I earned a college degree. I became a licensed journeyman electrician. I was a mentor in a mental health program. I worked with others suffering from addiction. I did what I could to, try to make a difference in my own life, but also with those around me. And in last year, the governor saw fit to grant me a conditional pardon, granting me an early release to what had been a sentence twice the high point of the sentencing guidelines. And he also restored my civil rights, so I was able to vote. And this was really profound because it was a belief not just that I had been innocent and therefore I was deserving of this right, but that someone who made mistakes is deserving of a second chance, and a second chance not just to be outside of prison, but to actually be a full participant in society. And I was grateful for that because one of the most difficult things about being in prison was this sense of being unseen and unheard and unvalued and less than. And I talk to guys all the time that would say, yeah, I'm getting out, but nobody's going to give me a second chance. Everybody's going to hold it against me. I can't even vote. What's the point? And there's this sense of defeat that goes along with not only incarceration, but also the prospect of release when there isn't a full inclusion in society, when they aren't offered a genuine second chance to be participating members in society. So as we look at reform, we look at trying to reduce recidivism, and we look at trying to engage people in society, one of the best ways to do that is to give them the same rights and responsibilities as everybody else. We expect them to work, we expect them to pay taxes, and we expect them to vote. We expect them to participate in this democracy. So I think that this benefits really everybody across the board, not to mention that we're not even asking the legislature to pass this. We're asking them to allow the citizens of Virginia to have their voices heard. We're not asking the politicians to make a decision. We're asking that they allow us to do so, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And Virginia is only one of 2 states that permanently disenfranchises felons from the right to vote without gubernatorial intervention. And I think that some people think this is just normal. This is very standard across the country. And it's not. I mean, we are one of the few people holding on to this old idea that had a very racist and a very ugly history. And if we're actually looking at moving forward, if we actually want to begin in the name of kind of progress, in the name of a state where we can all be proud of where we live and the people around us and the neighbors that we have, I think that it's incumbent upon us to support this. And it's incumbent upon the legislature to pass this as it's written, because to fail to do so really puts us on the wrong side of history. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak here today. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Now we'll have David Jimenez speaking next.
Good morning. So grateful to be with you all today. My name is David Jimenez, and I have the privilege of serving as Manager of Government Affairs for Prison Fellowship, the nation's largest Christian nonprofit serving prisoners, former prisoners, and their families, and a leading advocate for criminal justice reform. Restoring voting rights has long been a key goal of our ministry. It was particularly close to the heart of our founder, the late Chuck Colson, who himself had his civil rights and voting rights restored by then Florida Governor Jeb Bush in 2006. Now is the time for Virginia to constitutionally guarantee the right to vote for Virginians who have served their time. We envision at Prison Fellowship communities where men and women with a criminal record are thriving and are pursuing successful lives as employers, citizens, neighbors, parents, and entrepreneurs. When we restore to them the right to vote, a key expression of citizenship, we inspire them to pursue success and engagement across all aspects of their lives, leading to stronger families, safer streets, and more vibrant and prosperous communities. The Commonwealth should affirm in law and its constitution what it already acknowledges in practice, that Virginians who have served their time in prison should be able to fully engage in the civic life of their communities. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, David. And now we will have Sheba Williams speaking next.
Good morning. My name is Sheba Williams. I am the Executive Director of Nolef, a Richmond, Virginia-based reentry organization that also does advocacy work and pretrial support. I am not 3/5 of a person. In 1787, the 3/5 compromise denied individuals the right to vote, but the compromise counted 3/5 of each state's slave population towards the state's population for the purpose of apportioning the House of Representatives. Free Blacks and indentured servants were not subject to the compromise, and each was counted as one full person. I am not 3/5 of a person. I have worked since the age of 14, doing a job training program for teens each summer. I pay taxes. I am a business owner and a nonprofit executive. I am a proud college graduate of Norfolk State University. In 2004, I was wrongfully convicted of a crime and I was sentenced to 5 years of probation. During that time, I was disenfranchised and not allowed to vote. Because of laws in Virginia, I actually lost my vote for 9 years, which was almost more than the sentence allowed. The reason that we are asking this legislative body to pass what has already been passed last year and allow people to vote is because we deserve representation. We deserve to be counted as one full person in this world. It should not be held to the body that is in place at the time. The fundamental right to vote is a right that every person should have, and we are taking it away and using it in a punitive manner and saying that people are not whole. I am a whole person and I deserve the right to vote. And I challenge you all to pass this legislation and send the vote to the people of Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheba. We will have Richard Walker speaking next.
Hey everyone, I'm Richard Walker. I'm the founder and CEO of Bridging the Gap in Virginia. We're a nonprofit organization that assists individuals coming out of incarceration, preventing them from getting incarcerated, and providing services and support systems to allow them to have successful reentry back into society. I agree with everyone has said. You know, SJ1 and HB130, they need to be passed in order for us, those individuals coming out of incarceration, feel like a whole person. I got my rights restored back in 2012. I initially submitted paperwork in 2010 to then Governor Rob McDonald, and it was rejected. But then in 2012, that's when they granted me my rights. Then they told me that I had the right to sit on a jury. I had a right to be a public notary. I had the right to vote. And then they also told me I had the right to run for public office. In June of 2021, I ran for public office. I ran for the 71st District House of Delegates. So that is the result of having rights restored and being a citizen and with your civil rights in the Commonwealth of Virginia. When Bob McDonnell was the governor, Ben Jealous came to Richmond and he talked about this very important measure in which he said, it's one thing to be punished for something that you did wrong, but it's another thing to be left on punishment for the rest of your life. And that's what this has been, where we have been punished for the rest of our lives. We've assisted over 10,000 individuals during the course of this past, since I got my rights restored in 2012, and assisting individuals getting their rights restored. Through my collaboration with Lily Branch Kennedy and RIHD, we did a statewide mobile justice tour where we went through the entire state and helping and assisting individuals to get their rights restored. It is time through the legislation that this becomes a constitutional amendment, that all individuals that after turning 18, they have their rights restored. They have their rights. My family pushed it because of our forefathers fought so hard for the right to vote. So I am a major advocate for this legislation to go to the people and let the people decide that it's high time that Virginia changes its laws and legislations that adversely affect primarily people of color. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. And now we'll have Reverend Rodney Hunter speaking next.
Yes, good morning. My name is Rodney Hunter, pastor of Wesley Memorial United Methodist Church. And I too join in with others in the right to vote constitutional amendment that we want the General Assembly to pass. As a minister, and I think when we talk about Christian ethics, We talk about trying to help persons feel confident about themselves. We want people to have dignity. We want people to feel honor. Just because persons have made mistakes in their lives, just like everybody make mistakes, we don't feel that they should be eternally punished. They should have their rights restored. They should be able to find a job. They should be able to support their families. Our penal system, once you get into this system, you lose all dignity, you lose all rights. You can't get a job, you can't support your family. You have people who live in hopelessness and depression. And we are saying to the General Assembly that those who feel that they have Christian values, if God was about helping people to feel confidence in themselves, that's what the Bible was about, helping persons to feel good about themselves, no matter what they did. You could always correct that. And therefore, to punish people and not let them vote makes them feel less than full citizens. So I'm supporting this amendment because it's something that needs to be done. And as a minister, we try to do everything we can to help persons when they come out of the system. We want to help them to get jobs. We want to help them, first of all, to again feel that they are valuable persons in our society. And we can't talk about them having value if we don't demonstrate and make life better for them by letting them vote, by making it easier for them to obtain jobs. We need to do these things. We need to stop talking about what it means to be a loving state, and we need to be a loving state. So thank you so much, and I appreciate everyone who's come to share their story, and I thank you all for what you're doing to correct this injustice. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you so much. And now we will have Jacob Fish speaking next.
Thank you so much and good morning. My name is Jacob Fish and I'm very excited to be here today. I'm the Deputy State Director with Americans for Prosperity of Virginia. And I've had the privilege of being able to work on criminal justice issues for a number of years here in Virginia. One of the reasons that AFP Virginia, which is the premier grassroots organization that exists here in Virginia, works on criminal justice because we exist in order to remove barriers that inhibit all Virginians from fulfilling their full potential. We work on a number of issues, and criminal justice is very near and dear to my heart. And we know that individuals that are wrapped up or encounter the justice system can face massive barriers in their ability to fulfill their potential. We work on a number of issues within criminal justice reform, on front-end issues like addressing overcriminalization, due process, and policing, as well as also what we refer to as back-end reform of sentencing and second chances. And there are a few issues that have to do more with second chances than the issue we're talking about here today, which is around restoration of voting rights. We're proud to support a number of bills that are going through the General Assembly this year and are very excited to see that we have members of both the House and Senate of different parties that are all understanding and believe that once an individual has fulfilled their sentence, they should have all of their rights restored. And a huge part of that is the ability to vote and have a say in what happens in your community and the issues that you care the most about. We know that the ability for you to vote and to exercise that civic duty is very important, not just in making sure that we're not continuing to perpetuate the idea of there being two tiers in society, but also we've seen in research that individuals that do have their rights restored and choose to go ahead and exercise that right to vote are less likely to recommit crimes. And so there's obviously a philosophical side of that, where it's really important that individuals do have their rights restored, but there also is a practical side of it. Individuals who go ahead and exercise that right are less likely to reoffend, and therefore passing this type of legislation will reduce recidivism for the Commonwealth. One of the reasons that we support the constitutional amendment is, although it's great to see so far that we've had Republican and Democratic governors over the years who have been able to advance this type of reform in the past, we want to make sure that there is a long-standing legislative solution to this, which is why we support the constitutional amendment. So we encourage everyone in the General Assembly to go ahead and pass these bills and allow the Virginia voters to have a say in allowing for individuals to have their rights restored. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacob. And good morning, everyone. My name is Ashna Khanna, and I'm the Policy Director at the ACLU of Virginia. People who have served their sentences and paid taxes deserve a second chance, and they deserve a chance to choose the people who represent them. It's time for a change, and it's time for a second chance. Broadening the electorate to as many people as possible is a huge step forward towards eliminating the vestiges of the Jim Crow that remain in the Virginia Constitution. Recent polling has showed us that 65% of Virginians believe that once a person has served their time, they should have the right to vote. For all the reasons that you have heard here today, it is so essential that the legislators right now, vote yes for this constitutional amendment and send this bill to the floor and then send it to the ballot so that Virginia's voters can decide. Thank you so much for attending today. We really appreciate it. And with that, I believe we are now taking questions. All right, so we've got a couple of questions. All right, so one of the questions is apologies. What is the current state of the amendment in terms of its support in the GA? Can I have Jacob answer this one?
Yeah, I can provide some comment. I'm sure there's other people who would love to jump in there as well. We obviously yesterday we saw in committee that Senator Locke's bill went ahead and advanced out of Privileges and Elections Subcommittee. We're expecting that will continue to have support in the Senate and shouldn't face too many issues on the Senate side. On the House side, obviously, there's the potential for there to be a little bit more of an issue. We are excited, though, to see that one of the legislative champions that AFP Virginia actually endorsed last year for the election cycle, and Delegate Mike Cherry, is one of the individuals who is actually carrying a version of this bill and is definitely supportive of voting rights restoration. And so I know we're doing everything we can on the House side as well, working with coalition partners and our legislative policy champions that we've worked with in the past to go ahead and continue building support for this very important issue.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jacob. Another question that we have is, have any new compromises or changes for the amendment been suggested by legislators who don't yet support it? I'll quickly chime in. This amendment needs to pass with the same exact language in order to move forward. Otherwise, in order to change the Constitution in Virginia, we have to pass the same language 2 legislative sessions in a row with an intervening election. And so right now, there haven't been any compromises or amendments that are suggested, and we call on legislators to pass it as is. The other question that we have is, have you heard anything about potential changes to the amendment that might come from the new administration? Does anyone from the coalition want to answer that? I can quickly go ahead and say we have not heard anything, any of the advocacy groups that have been working together on this reform. And we hope again that the new administration would again support just passing it and letting Virginia's voters decide as the language is currently written. One more question. So if the amendment passes the GA, do you expect any changes to the amendment by the Youngkin administration? Again, the answer to that would be no, we do not expect any changes, but instead really urge the Youngkin administration to support the language as is and let Virginia's voters decide. Another question that we have are, what are the main objections of those opposing this bill? Richard, do you want to kind of take that one on?
Some of the pushback that we've been getting has been adversely to the legislation that's been submitted that was passed last year in regards to individuals across the board, that it would be suitable for all individuals, upon completion and prior to their incarceration, that they maintain their right to vote. So we're going to continue to trudge on, and I truly believe that one of my colleagues here can continue with that response.
Yeah, I can add a little bit to that, is that, I think a lot of the opposition that we are hearing is more so, related to, I think Jacob hit, really made a really great point, is that once that, someone is not currently incarcerated, being able to vote lowers the recidivism rate. And so one of the biggest, I think, what happened last session discussions was including people who are on parole or probation. And we know here in Virginia with the system that people are on parole or probation for years at a time. And so the amendment that was decided and voted on in 2021 said everyone post-incarceral would get their automatic, rights restored, would get their right to vote back. And so that we are continuing to tell people that that is the right decision that legislators had made, and to continue forward with that language as well. Does Jesse from the Prison Fellowship, do you want to add anything to that as well? Or, David, sorry. All right, I don't think, is there anyone that any partners want to add any more context? All right, I think that's all of our questions. Let me double check. I believe so. Well, if, we will be following up with a media packet and a recording of today's press conference, as well with quotes from all of the speakers. And so if any reporters have any questions or any thoughts or comments after the fact, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. In the media packet, it will show kind of the email to reach out to Edith Bullard, ACLU VA Press. And so if anyone else has anything else to say, I think we're going to wrap it up for today. Thank you again so much, everyone, for attending. Thank you so much on your hard work on this. And again, we are really excited and really want Virginia's legislators to decide the right thing and allow this to go to the ballot. So thank you again. And I look forward to working with all of you continuously, and don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.